Welcome, my friends. If you follow this channel, you already know that layoffs are basically in full-on mode in technology companies. In fact, there has been so much layoff news that I have had difficulty finding time to cover anything else. You have heard about the 50% layoff at Twitter, the 11,000-person layoff at Meta, and the 18,000-person layoff at Amazon. And if you follow this channel, you already know that everyone has been waiting for the layoff shoe to drop at Google. Well, my friends, Google is no longer the gravy train that it has been. The rest and vest days are over. Google CEO Sundar Pichai announced that the company will lay off 12,000 employees. It comes after a lot of high-profile tech layoffs. Twitter laid off 3,700. Amazon cut 18,000 jobs. Meta laid off 11,000 employees. And Microsoft laid off 10,000 people. Also, if you follow this channel, you know that a major activist Google shareholder is demanding layoffs. Activist investor TCI Fund Management holds a $6 billion stake in Google parent company, Alphabet. TCI told Google CEO Sundar Pichai that both salary expenses and headcount must come down. According to TCI, this must be done using a much more aggressive action than by stealth layoffs. TCI has made the case that compensation and headcount at Google are just way too high. Much higher, in fact, than at other companies in the rest of Silicon Valley. This video continues our coverage of the wave of layoffs sweeping the United States and the newly announced layoffs at Google. What does it mean for Google? What does it mean for technology companies? What does it mean for Silicon Valley? What does it mean for the economy? And, what does it mean for the future of the United States? But, before we get into all of that, please press the like button and leave us a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Google finally announced that it will lay off 12,000 people from its workforce. A slew of US tech companies of all sizes have been cutting jobs amid fears of an oncoming recession. Google CEO Sundar Pichai said that the company will begin making layoffs in the US immediately. In other countries, the process will take longer due to local laws and practices, he said. It's the world's worst-kept secret that Google employees had been fearing layoffs. Basically, every other tech company has made substantial job cuts. And don't forget, Google suddenly changed the company's performance rating system in Q4. The web search and video sharing giant will offer US-based employees 16 weeks of severance pay plus 2 weeks for each additional year they've worked at Google, Pichai added. Shares of Google rose by more than 5% after the news was announced. So, it is clear that Wall Street is rewarding companies that announce layoffs. Tech companies are facing challenges from a number of directions right now. Rising interest rates, inflation, anemic consumer discretionary spending, and overall macroeconomic weakness. This has forced advertisers to cut back on online ad spending. And higher interest rates on cash deposits have diverted investor money away from stocks. Hikes to interest rates from the US Federal Reserve in particular have led to souring appetite for American tech shares. That has clobbered technology shares. The gloomy macroeconomic climate has piled pressure on all public companies to make deep cuts to their workforces, and for profits in general. On Wednesday, Amazon a layoff of 18,000 people. Then, Microsoft announced plans to lay off 10,000 workers. Elon Musk slashed over half of the company's headcount since taking control of Twitter October. Well, my friends, the Google gravy train is slamming on the brakes. Pressures from practically all directions are forcing Google to cut costs. After years of rapid growth, and over-the-top profits, and astronomical employee salaries, and unreal employee perks and benefits, the tech sector is now firmly in cost-cutting mode. The biggest names in the tech sector are now heavily in layoff mode. Facebook owner Meta, Twitter, Amazon, Oracle, Salesforce. The macroeconomic environment is weakening. Advertising revenue has slowed dramatically. Inflation is raging in most countries. And central banks are aggressively raising interest rates to fight inflation. Growth at big tech companies has slowed to pedestrian levels. And actually reversed in some cases. Meta has seen 2 consecutive quarters of declining revenue and is probably headed for a third. Netflix had 2 quarters of declining revenue before achieving meager growth in Q3. Wall Street analysts are handing out stock downgrades like bathroom passes in a grade school. Shareholders are getting restless. Profit growth has become the new goalpost. And the era of easy money is over. Of course, it's not just the tech sector. All companies are facing rising costs. And they are all battling with challenging macroeconomic conditions. Food companies are cutting costs. PepsiCo, like other food companies, is laying off corporate employees. But you can only raise prices just so much before demand destruction kicks in. Cost cutting and price hikes are the two major ways corporate America is fighting inflation. The trend toward layoffs means that consumers are done accepting higher prices. While Google has so far avoided the widespread job cuts that have hit tech companies, particularly those supported by a slumping ad market. Internal anxiety is on the rise, according to employees who spoke on the condition of anonymity. If you follow this channel, you already know that Pichai gave a now infamous speech at the Vox Code conference in Los Angeles. At the conference, Pichai said that he is determined to make Google run on fewer resources as a slew of business challenges emerge. Pichai has set an efficiency improvement target of 20%. There's also been a recent change in how employee performance reviews work inside Google. If you follow this channel, you already know the financial narrative of these days. Inflation is raging in many countries of the world. Central banks are aggressively raising interest rates in order to fight inflation. Consumer discretionary spending is weakening as consumers deal with both inflation and rising interest rates. So, corporate marketers are cutting back on ad spending, especially online. Online ad spending is the lifeblood of many big tech companies, especially Google and Meta. So, both companies are being hit hard by these deteriorating macroeconomic conditions. Although, Google may be not hit quite as hard as Meta. Snap announced a 20% workforce reduction back in August. HP said that it plans to lay off 6,000 employees over the next 3 years. That the United States is teetering on the brink of recession. And people are having to deal with increasing interest expense for any money that they borrow. Ad revenue from YouTube shrank in Q3 as compared to Q3 of last year. If you follow this channel, you already know that Google is under serious pressure from Wall Street. Activist shareholder TCI Management has said that Google must take aggressive action to trim headcount and salary expense. Google needs to deliver a clear action plan to investors, TCI Fund Management wrote in a letter to CEO Sundar Pichai. TCI Management has a stake in the Alphabet valued at $6 billion. Our conversations with former executives suggest that the business could be operated more effectively with significantly fewer employees, read the letter from TCI. Overstaffing at tech companies is a poorly kept secret in Silicon Valley, the letter also said. Alphabet disclosed median compensation valued at $295,884 for 2021, which is also excessive, said the TCI letter. Historically, Google's compensation has basically been the gold standard in technology companies. We acknowledge that Alphabet employs some of the most talented and brightest computer scientists, the letter continued. But these represent only a fraction of the employee base, the TCI letter added. For non-engineering staff, the letter read, compensation should fall in line with other technology companies, the letter continued. TCI wants Google to increase its share buybacks. The TCI letter drew specific attention to self-driving division Waymo. TCI says that Waymo has failed to justify its excessive investment. Shares in Alphabet have fallen more than 30% so far in 2022. Google employees have become known for a practice, rest and vest. This practice depicted in a fictional TV show called Silicon Valley. But, what do you think? Please leave us a comment below and hit the like button. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Please share this video on social media. Thank you for watching.